Hello internets, here we are. It's been almost a month since my last vlog, and even longer since the last time I've actually picked up a camera. But like I said, the break is most definitely needed. Well, I want to share another day with you guys. And yeah, welcome to our vlog. So, here we go. Well, after 16 years, I finally had a small breakthrough, a small victory. I finally was able to get written down on an official piece of paper and recognized the diagnosis that I had 16 years ago that my previous doctor ignored. All I can say, guys, is if your doctor tells you something, get a second opinion, regardless of what it is. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, get a second opinion. I've learned through experiences that doctors don't know nothing sometimes. They only know what the lab report says, and sometimes the lab reports are wrong, or they only know what medical knowledge they're taught, and sometimes their knowledge again is outdated. My dad was misdiagnosed years ago, told there was nothing wrong with him, and it turned out he had cancer. And long before that, I believe there was something else going on with my dad as well that was not diagnosed either, because, well, it wasn't really known about as well as it is now. And if Dad would have got a second opinion and not trusted his doctor, he may still be around today, or at least have lived the last 20 years in better condition than he did. And as for me, you know, I became complacent with the doctor I had, given my family history, not wanting to know if there was more going on than just the one thing. I stayed with the one doctor when realistically I should have left that one doctor probably 10 years ago. But you know, you go in, get your pills, leave, everything's fine. You know, he doesn't perform any too invasive tests, and everything's good. But realistically, that's not the way it should be, right? Well, over the last 3 weeks, I've been fighting with Canada Post. My sidewalks were clear. The snow has always been shoveled, but there's been no mail, like no bills, no flyers, no junk mail, no nothing. The paper carrier could make it up the sidewalk, but the postal carrier could not. And I thought, well, okay, fine, you know, maybe the bills are just the bills, but usually there's junk mail flyers, you know, like getting your windows changed, or flyers from churches or whatever, and there was nothing like that, you know. And so I'm not really one to complain, especially with government officials, because some of them are fairly unstable. I'll get to a story on that here in a minute. And lo and behold, yeah, the carrier was not delivering my mail. There was no reason stated. There was no reason said why, anything like that. And it was just not being delivered. And lo and behold, in the following 2 weeks after I called, I've been getting junk mail and regular mail again. So there was no reason for anything like that to have ever gone on. I was going to go out and confront the carrier and ask them, hey, you know, what's going on, you know? Did my gators get you one day and now you're afraid to come on my yard, or, you know, what's going on? However, somebody else did that. And I guess the mail carrier came unglued and threatened them and harassed them, and now they're not getting any mail service at all. And all she wanted to know, all this other person wanted to know, was what can I do to get mail that's being delivered here for past tenants not delivered here anymore, you know? Just a simple question. Isn't it weird how we become conditioned to answer the phone when it dings, answer the emails when they ding, conditioned every day at a certain time to turn on the news or turn on your favorite YouTube video. Well, like I said, over the last month and a half of not picking up the camera to vlog, it's been a weird feeling. I became conditioned over the last, whatever it's been, since 2011, vlogging all the time, and picking up the camera every, second or third day to make a vlog, to go live every second day, and it's just a weird feeling not doing that, and not doing your so-called normal routines, and it's like it doesn't really make sense. It took a while, like 2-3 weeks, for the weather to break. We had a lot of ups and down temperatures, a lot of snow, wet. Finally now we're getting temperatures, plus 10, plus 15 Celsius, and at night it is staying above the freezing mark, so spring is officially close, if not here, which is most definitely a plus. It's been a long, dark winter for me. I got some stuff I'm wanting to do today, some running around, some appointments to do with some places that I struck out on in the past. However, I've got a new lead, a new way to try, and plus with the new diagnosis, or recognized diagnosis, I got a little bit more pull than just some guy walking in the door going, "Hey, I need some help. Anything, you guys can help me." In the past, I've been turned down. I don't qualify because of my house. I don't qualify because of all the hard work I've done in the past. If I were to give it all up, I'd have everything I ever need. However, by giving up everything you worked for in the past, the last 20 years is why. But, you still might come to that. But again, no point in stressing on that. We will cross that when we get there. So of course I got some running around, like I said, getting some water, going to those appointments. Then after that, the day is free and clear. So gonna do all that, and then we'll see y'all then. Well, hello internets. Here we go. Well, just got back from part of my running around. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do it all today or what, but I might have to do some tomorrow. I went out and dealt with a certain government what do you want to call it, office, and yeah, it's not fun. It's kind of like banging your head on a brick wall. In fact, I think you'd probably get more out of it quicker. And it's weird how our government or our system works. If I was a member of a certain group, or I didn't have a pot to pee in, again, they'd be tripping all over me, but because I've worked hard and I've kept everything I've worked for, they're looking down on me once again, kind of a deal. There's another stop that I need to do. I don't know, probably end up being tomorrow, and maybe end up getting something from there, but there's going to be doctor's visits, specialist visits, more forms and paperwork to fill out, but I suppose if you never try, you never know how it'll be, right? In the meantime, of course, you gotta kind of prepare for the worst and start doing things for the future. Even if that means selling your $600 saw for $60, if that means, selling some things you want to keep, it is what it is. That being said, if something does go south, then you have less things to sell in, 30 days, right? And it'll all work out fine. I've been kicking around the idea for a while now to list my house for sale, and it might come to that, right? One by one, the reasons to stay in this town are going one by one, and and you know, families got their own lives and their own things, so you can't really stay in town for extended family. And you know, dad's no longer here, so that's one less thing. And I don't know where I would go. Lloydminster has been my home my whole life. Pretty much, I think I lived when I was a baby in a little town called Eiley for a couple of years, which is just west 45 minutes or so of from Lloydminster here. So I've been in this whole area my whole life, so I have no idea where I would go. You know, somewhere warmer, obviously. There's a few places along the coast in BC that winters don't really get cold. They stay, you know, on the plus side, or if they do dip, they're only -3, -4, and you know, a person can handle that. You know, this -51 stuff in the wintertime affects me big, and it's not too much fun. And reading up, as I age, it's not really going to get better. It's not really going to go away. It's going to be there, and it's not going to kill me, as in, like, you know, dying from lung cancer or dying from a heart attack. It's just that slow mental drain and anguish until eventually you probably give up mentally, and I'll take it from there. So of course I did some of my running around. Like I said, need to do some more tomorrow. I think I'm going to crash for a couple hours here. I'm just feeling a bit rough, and see where it goes for later. But you know, it's kind of weird talking to a camera after all this time. Like I said there earlier about, you get conditioned to do things when the phone beeps, or you get an email, or you know, picking up the camera and start vlogging, and it becomes part of your morning routine. You know, you put a coffee on, walk the dog, pick the camera up, and start your day off. But when you no longer vlog, you don't know if you should make a coffee and walk the dog, or you know, walk the dog and then make the coffee. It's a weird feeling. But I'm gonna go in and do a few things, and around we roll. Well, hello internets. Here we are, a little bit of a early evening update. Well, came on home earlier, a little bit tired, had a little bit of a recharge and a nap, and here I am now. Made me a few phone calls, got some appointments once again for tomorrow. You know, don't know how things will go, but it is what it is. You know, it's kind of one of those decisions that is solely up to me to make. One of those choices that obviously will change the direction of the future, whether it's staying in the house here, or moving into apartment or townhouse kind of thing. You know, unfortunately in this world you need a fixed address to receive mail, or to receive, like, for your driver's license or insurance or anything like that. You can't use a post office box, so you have to have a fixed address. And well, it's kind of the way it is, right? You know, there's other alternatives, other options, but sometimes it's best to change things soon than later. You know, somebody once told me that life is like a book, a large book, you know, one of those big thick books that most people don't want to read. However, once you realize that life is full of chapters, it makes that big book a lot easier to read. And life is the same way. You know, there's the chapter you have in your childhood, then there's the chapter of your teenage years, then there's the chapter of your early adult years, and then, you know, there's various chapters throughout there. Whether it's a relationship chapter or a marriage chapter or a chapter with children, you know, sometimes those chapters open and those chapters close as well. Sometimes you move out of your hometown and move to another city or another town or another place altogether, and I've been considering it for a long time, moving somewhere warmer, somewhere where it doesn't get, you know, cold in the winter. And the last 5 years haven't been a lot of fun, but you know, you kind of made do because it's what you know. And once again, you know, you don't really want to step out of your comfort zone, but at the same time, what is life unless you live? You know, what's the worst that can happen? I sell the house, end up renting an apartment for the next 20 years. You know, in theory, in another 20 to 25 years, I'll qualify for some kind of old folks home, some senior citizen thing. I know 25 years is a long time, but at the same time, during this next 25 years, a guy can do traveling, a guy can have some fun, pick up work or jobs or so, whatever town he's in. You know, I do have some family left here that if I do need to, I can probably send them, you know, my mail to their place, as well as I do still have the, well, post office box. However, if I'm not here to collect the mail from the post office box, it's going to get full of junk mail really, really fast, isn't it? So I don't quite know the direction. You know, does one stay where he's comfortable, where he's, you know, knows, or step out and live a little bit? You know, one can probably get the same feeling that they're looking for by doing road trips or vacationing for a month in said place or city they want to move to, get the feeling, and if it works, then, you know, move there, right? I don't know, maybe I'll move to the basement suite and rent out the main floor. You know, that being said, there's some work I want to do in the basement first before I move down there, and then technically I still keep the house, keep the equity that is in said house, and I have a stable mailing address as long as my tenants, if you want to call them that, are honest with my mail. They can you know, put it in a mailbox downstairs, and when I come back I check it all. You know, there wouldn't be utility bills because all that would be in the tenant's name. My cell phone bill, maybe I'd have sent to somebody else's place, and I transfer money and they pay it. The insurance, well, insurance comes out of my bank account, and the bank I deal at is a fairly wide, well-known bank. I'm sure there's a branch in, you know, every town or every larger town, so there wouldn't be much of an issue dealing with things like that. I don't know. It's the unknown that is a little bit concerning. You know, the comfort zone, leaving your hometown is a little bit weird, you know, or thinking about leaving your hometown. Like, I never ever thought growing up that I'd ever move away from here. I thought I'd live here for my life. You know, I always called myself a lifer. However, you know, life in prison is only, what, 25 years or so? Technically. So, you know, you spend 25 years here, you've done life, right? And now things have changed. Things are different from what they were. You know, there's nothing really holding me back here. You know, basically liquidate what I have and hit the road, I guess. You know, the renting out of the house is appealing as long as you get decent tenants. if you hire a property management company, I know you're paying them to look after your place, but somebody needs to collect the rent when you're not home, take care of the repairs when you're not here, and when you are here, you have a crash pad in the basement for, you know, the week or two you're here, and you can be gone again, technically. Canada is such an interesting place. We can explore various cities, various places. I could probably spend, you know, the better part of a year for sure, visiting various locations, and that's just, you know, that's just Canada alone, right? I don't know about getting down in the States in terms of the States itself, because, well, sometimes they don't want you to cross the States unless you can prove in your bank account you have money to support yourself if you get sick or get, you know, in trouble per se down there, which I understand, because, you know, there's a whole, you know, other problems up there if you end up, you know, getting sick in another country. I know people who have traveled overseas, like Mexico or Cuba, and end up getting sick, and then they have a doctor's bill from another country that, you know, they never thought they'd ever have to pay something that large. Well, that's sort of the dangers of traveling, right? And I hope you enjoyed this little vlog. Like I said, the first vlog that I've done in a month and a half. I guess, you know, it is what it is. But pretty much, guys, that's kind of what's on my mind here. We'll have to see how she rolls, and around we go. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's Vlogs. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.